Family drama in ancient texts usually feels distant and hard to relate to. But what if I told you the book of Genesis contains a story that reads like a modern reality show, complete with jealous sisters, stolen property, and a manipulative father in law who keeps moving the goalposts?
That's fascinating. And we're talking about real people whose actions shaped the future of an entire nation. How did all this drama actually play out?
Well, at the center we have Jacob, who ends up married to two sisters, Rachel and Leah. Rachel is the one he loves, but she can't have children, while Leah keeps having baby after baby. The cultural pressure around fertility was intense back then.
You know what's really interesting about this situation? These weren't just personal family issues. The sons born from this complicated arrangement eventually became the 12 tribes of Israel.
Exactly. And things get even messier when both sisters start giving their servants to Jacob as surrogate mothers. They're literally treating their husband like a piece of property, bargaining over who gets to sleep with him on which night.
Hmm. And there's that bizarre situation with the mandrakes, too. Rachel actually trades her night with Jacob to Leah in exchange for these fertility plants. The desperation is palpable.
Speaking of desperate measures, let's talk about Jacob's father in law, Laban. This guy changes Jacob's wages 10 times over 20 years, constantly trying to cheat him out of his fair share.
Well, that must have been incredibly frustrating for Jacob. How did he manage to build any wealth under those circumstances?
So here's where it gets interesting. Jacob develops this elaborate breeding program with the spotted and speckled sheep. Whether it worked through divine intervention or ancient animal husbandry knowledge, the text tells us he became exceedingly prosperous.
That's such a powerful detail. Despite all the obstacles and manipulation, God's blessing still came through.
You know what really stands out to me? The way this story challenges our assumptions about how God works. None of these characters would pass a modern moral litmus test. They're all manipulative and self-serving in their own ways.
Oh, right. Like when Rachel steals her father's household gods, which weren't just trinkets but symbols of inheritance rights and family authority.
And yet, and this is the mind-blowing part, God uses this messy situation to build the nation of Israel. Through all the deception and family drama, his purposes still prevail.
That really speaks to how God often works through imperfect circumstances and people, doesn't it?
Absolutely fascinating. And consider the timing too. Jacob spends 20 years working for Laban, dealing with unfair treatment and family drama. That's a long time to wait for God's promises to unfold.
The resolution is pretty dramatic, too. Jacob finally sneaking away with his wives, children, and flocks, while Laban is busy shearing sheep.
Right, and when Laban catches up to them, we get this incredible confrontation where Jacob finally stands up and lists 20 years' worth of grievances, working through heat and cold, losing sleep, having his wages changed repeatedly.
That must have been quite the moment. 20 years of pent up frustration finally coming out.
And here's what I think is the most profound aspect of this story: the contrast between the unchanging character of God and the constantly shifting circumstances of Jacob's life. Everything around him was unstable, but God remained constant.
That's such a relevant message for today's world of constant change and uncertainty.
Looking at the broader implications, this story really gives hope to anyone who feels their life is too complicated or messy for God to use. If he could work through this family situation, he can work through anything.
And in the end, it's really a story about divine persistence, more than human performance, isn't it?
Exactly. It's about how God remains faithful to his promises even when his people are faithless. That's the real heart of this ancient family drama.